Any good stories you have about Kobe?
What if everything you think you know about Kobe Bryant is backwards? Not the scoring, not the rings, not the highlights, but the reason any of it happened. Because the story most people tell is simple. A kid who worked harder than everyone, a legend who wanted it more. That version is comfortable. It fits on posters. It fits on motivational videos. It fits neatly inside a 30-second clip with dramatic music. It gives you something clean to believe in, something easy to repeat, something that makes greatness feel like a choice instead of a consequence. But it misses something uncomfortable, something messy, something that does not sound inspirational, but explains far more. Because people do not usually become this relentless by accident.
So, I'm gonna get there at 3 o'clock, and I wanna make sure I make 400 made shots. Get in the car, get to the gym, get there, and as I'm walking onto the court, who do I see? I see Kobe Bryant.
They become this relentless because something inside them never learned how to rest. Kobe was not built by basketball. Basketball was built around him. Around a mind that learned very early how to survive by being alone. By building an inner world that no one else could touch. By treating repetition like a form of shelter. By finding safety in things that never changed. A rim, a ball, a quiet gym. This is not a story about jump shots. This is a story about a 6-year-old who learned how to disappear into work because the world around him felt foreign, loud, and slightly hostile. When you are that young and everything feels unfamiliar, you do not fight it with words. You fight it with habits. You fight it with routine. You fight it by creating a space where you are never confused. That is where the Mamba mentality started. Not in an NBA gym, not in a playoff game, not after a loss. In Italy, long before anyone was watching, long before anyone was chanting his name, long before anyone cared, long before there were cameras or crowds or expectations. Just a kid and a ball, trying to make sense of a world that did not quite feel like it was built for him. Kobe's isolation was not a personality quirk. It was a structure, an operating system, a way to feel safe in a world he could not control, a way to turn confusion into clarity, a way to turn fear into routine. And once it was built, it never shut off. Most people think Kobe became obsessive after he got embarrassed. After the airballs, after the losses, after the criticism. That makes for a better movie. It gives you a clear villain, a clear turning point, a clean before and after. But it is not true. He was obsessive before anyone ever doubted him. Because obsession was the only thing that made sense when nothing else did. When language failed. When social rules were confusing. When everything felt slightly off. When every interaction required translation, not just of words, but of tone, humor, and belonging. So let's go back to where this really begins. Not Philadelphia, not Lower Merion, Italy. In 1984, Joe Bryant moved his family to Rieti, Italy, to keep his basketball career alive. Kobe was 6 years old. New country, new language, new faces, new rules. He did not speak Italian. He did not look like the other kids. He did not sound like them. He did not know the jokes. He did not know the slang. He did not know how to slide into conversations. He did not know when to speak or when to stay quiet. He did not know how to blend in. So he watched. And when you cannot connect through words, you connect through patterns, through repetition, through routine, through small controllable things, through anything that feels stable when everything else is shifting. He learned Italian the same way he would later learn basketball. By listening, by copying, by repeating until it worked, by making mistakes in private instead of in front of people, by refusing to look foolish in a place where he already felt exposed. But something else happened too. He learned how to be alone, not lonely, alone. There is a difference. Loneliness hurts. Being alone can become comfortable. Being alone can become powerful. Italy taught him that.
At the time, I was only 6 years old, and I was pretty much clueless about the whole situation. But my parents basically told me, "You're going to an Italian school, we want you to learn a new language."
So our parents just immersed us in Italian culture. So we were just surrounded by Italian kids. We were just learning the language as they were.
He was the only black kid in school, the American kid, the strange kid, the one who did not quite fit anywhere. So basketball became his language. At 8 years old, he was waking up before everyone else to shoot, not because a coach told him to, not because a trainer demanded it, because the court was quiet then. No noise, no stares, no pressure, no confusion, just him and the rim. That silence became home. When the world felt confusing, the ball made sense. When people were unpredictable, the bounce was not. When words failed, muscle memory did not. By 11, he was mopping floors for his dad's team to earn a bike. By 12, he was playing grown men in horse. Not to win, to be seen, to belong. When you cannot fit in socially, you fit in through excellence. That became his identity, not the kid who jokes, not the kid who blends in, the kid who works harder than everyone. Fast forward to Philadelphia. Kobe comes back at 13, and now he is the one out of place again. The kid who speaks Italian, the kid who does not get the slang, the kid who processes conversations a beat late. Imagine that. You finally learn how to exist somewhere, and then you're ripped out of it and drop back into a world that feels foreign again. That social lag never went away. So he leaned into the one place where he could control everything: work. At Lower Merion, he was different, not just better, separate.
It was different, man.
I had a lot of trouble understanding English and the slang.
As a little Italian boy, I didn't understand the fashion. It was like somebody took me and dropped me in a bucket in a tub of ice cold water because it shocked the shit out of me.
While other kids hung out, he watched film. While others rested, he practiced. While others laughed, he planned. He was not antisocial. He was building a fortress. And the numbers show it. Freshman year, the team goes 4-20. He averages 18. Sophomore year, they jump. Junior year, they explode. Senior year, they win everything. But the pattern was always the same. Kobe would be quiet, invisible, then suddenly unstoppable. There is a game in 1996 where he scores 35, but 6 of them come in the first half. 29 in the second. That became his blueprint. Disappear, then dominate. Stay in the shadows until it is time to take over. Scouts saw the talent, they saw the numbers, but they worried about something else. Not his skill, his fit. He had no peer group, no social glue, just work.
Was always the most constant was the game. And that was my refuge. That was the place where I could go and have complete familiarity no matter where I was. Whether I got along with the kids or didn't get along with the kids, didn't matter, because I always had my ball. So I could always pick up my basketball, I could always hop on my bike, I could always go to the park, and I could always shoot.
As doing those lonely hours in the rec room, I discovered the hunger, the motivation, and the desire to be the best possible basketball player that I could be.
He played 1-on-1 to 100. He studied film alone. He did not party. He did not drift. When he declared for the NBA, he did it alone. No college, no safety net, no fallback, just control.
Kobe Bryant have decided to take my talent to I have decided to skip college and take my talent to the NBA.
Then came the air balls. Utah, Game 5. 4 air balls in 5 minutes. Now, that moment should have broken him. It should have made him pull back, play safer, trust others. Instead, it confirmed something he already believed. If you are not strong enough, work harder. If you are not ready, isolate deeper. He did not blame the coach. He did not blame the moment. He blamed his body. And he went to work. Within 48 hours, he was in a high school gym, shooting until dawn. Not to prove anything to anyone, to restore control. That is not normal. That is not healthy. That is someone who only feels safe when he is alone with repetition.
Right, like you're worried about how people may perceive you, and like you're walking around and it's embarrassing because you shot 5 air balls. Get over yourself, right? And then after that, it's okay, well, why did those air balls happen? In the NBA, it's back to back to back to back to back to back to back. I didn't have the legs. So you look at the shot, every shot was online. Every shot was online, but every shot was short.
Financial face knocked away. Cross court left. Open Kobe. He drives the 3. Another air ball. He shoots back to back air balls. Jazz basketball. Up top there. He Jones, jump it up, won't go. Bryant for three, it's short again, air ball. He shot air balls, real impressive. Seconds, 7 seconds. Here's the three-pointer, air ball again by Kobe Bryant. 4 seconds left. It's Boston, it's over, it's over.
By year 2, teammates were already noticing it. He did not eat with them. He did not relax with them. He did not joke with them. He trained. Phil Jackson said players came to him asking why Kobe would not sit with them. But Kobe was not being rude. He was protecting his system. Trust is dangerous when you grew up translating yourself every day. So he narrowed it. Shaq was there. That helped. Someone else carried part of the load. But when Shaq left, the isolation took over. No shock, no safety. Kobe becomes the system. Usage skyrockets. Assists drop. Trust evaporates. By 2006, it is pure isolation basketball. 35 points a game, 50-point nights, 81 against Toronto. Not because he loved scoring, because he did not know any other way to survive. In that 81-point game, he touched the ball on almost every possession. That was not offense. That was a man refusing to let the world interrupt him. And it worked. It won games. It built a legend. It created a myth. But it came at a cost. His body broke, his knees iced, his Achilles snapped. Even then, he walked to the line to shoot free throws. Because control was never optional. In his final years, teammates said he practiced alone, watched film alone, lived alone inside the team. Not because he hated them, because he was built for solitude. Even his injuries followed the pattern. When his right hand broke, he learned to shoot left-handed. When his shoulder hurt, he shot free throws with the other arm. Reality did not get to interrupt his system. So here is the truth. The Mamba mentality was not a mindset. It was a coping mechanism, a way to survive being different, being displaced, being out of sync with the world.
Bryant for the win!
It made him great. It also made him distant. You can copy his footwork. You can copy his workouts. But you cannot copy the 6-year-old learning that the rim was the only thing that spoke back in a language he understood. That is why Kobe Bryant was unique. Not because he wanted it more, but because he was built in a way that never needed anyone else. And here is the part people struggle with. That same isolation that gave him power also took something from him. It took ease. It took softness. It took the ability to lean. When teammates laughed, he stayed in the gym. When coaches relaxed, he watched film. When others celebrated, he planned the next day. That is not dedication, that is survival. Kobe did not chase joy, he chased control. And in a sport built on chaos, that made him terrifying. Defenses did not scare him, crowds did not shake him. Moments did not freeze him, because he had been alone long before he was famous. And when you are built in isolation, pressure feels familiar. That is the paradox of his greatness. The thing that made him unbreakable also made him unreachable. Fans saw the fire, teammates felt the distance. Both were real, and both came from the same place, Italy, a kid shooting alone in the dark. Learning that if you want something done right, you do it yourself. That lesson never left him. Not when he was lifting trophies, not when he was rehabbing injuries, not when his body finally failed. He was always that kid. Still chasing the rim, still trusting repetition more than people, still finding safety in the sound of a ball hitting hardwood. That is the architecture of Kobe Bryant. Not broken, built. Now here is the part people rarely talk about. What happens to a person when the thing that saves them also traps them? Because isolation does not just create focus, it also creates distance. Kobe could read defenses in a way most players never could. He could feel momentum shifts before they happened. He could sense when a game was tilting, but he struggled to read people. When teammates were tired, he saw weakness. When they wanted rest, he saw excuses. When they wanted connection, he saw distraction. Not because he was cruel, because his brain was wired differently. He learned early that relying on others was risky, that people leave, languages change, cities change, only work stays. So he put all of his faith in work. That made him reliable. It also made him lonely. There were moments when he wanted more, moments when he tried to bridge the gap, moments when he reached out, but the system always pulled him back. The gym was quieter, the court was safer. The ball never misunderstood him. That is why, even at the peak of his fame, he lived like a man in exile. Private workouts, private meals, private thoughts. His world was small by design. And that is why, when younger players came into the league and tried to copy him, it never quite worked. They saw the workouts.
Your fourth NBA championship. How are you different as a man and a player than you were 7 years ago, the last time you won a championship?
I think you just get better. You just grow as a person, you grow as a man, and you just try to figure out the best way to lead these guys.
They saw the grind, they saw the glare, but they did not see the childhood. They did not feel the language barrier. They did not experience the social lag. They did not know what it was like to rebuild yourself from scratch at 6 years old. Without that, the isolation becomes hollow. Just hours in a gym, not a survival strategy. Kobe was not trying to be legendary. He was trying to feel normal, to feel steady, to feel in control. Basketball gave him that. And in doing so, it took something else away. He gave the world greatness, but he paid for it in quiet. That is why his story still feels unfinished, not because he left too early, but because the man behind the myth was always still working, still searching.
I can't believe how fast 20 years went by. Man, this is crazy. You know, we've been through our ups and been through our downs. And I think the most important part is that we all stayed together throughout. All I can do here is just thank you guys. Thank you guys for all the years of support. Thank you guys for all the motivation. Thank you for all the inspiration. What can I say? Mamba out.
Still trying to outrun the part of himself that never learned how to rest. And maybe that is the final truth. Kobe Bryant was not chasing perfection. He was chasing peace. He just happened to find it in a gym. Alone, with a ball, and a rim that always listened.